The Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Good morning, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy podcast, your source for nerddom news and commentary. I am your host, Jared Bachman-Stubbs, and joining me this week, you're seeing a lot of them now. Holy crap, it's weird. It's just you and me on nights, and now it's just you and me on TNAP. We got the last son of Pod Krypton himself, Spencer Simpson.
Hi.
Spencer's kind of pinch hitting today. Travis is just coming back from State College and ended up having to work. So Spencer very generously was like, yeah, I'll co-host so you don't have to talk into a camera by yourself.
That's awkward. I tried it on nights a couple nights ago when we recorded, and it was the big awkward.
Yeah, so. I mean, it'd probably be easier just trying to like read news by yourself, but I like to have somebody to bounce off of and also make fun of me.
Oh, shizzle.
A couple programming notes. Next week is going to be our Eternals review, so stay tuned for that. The week after that will probably be Dune, so keep an eye out for that. And that said, we are going to be kind of MIA from news for 2 weeks. So we're going to miss that Morbius trailer. We'll get to it when we're back on news and done with these back-to-back movie reviews. There's a chance Dune doesn't happen quite as early as we'd like it to. And if it doesn't, we'll be back on news and then onto the Dune review. But Eternals and Dune reviews are on the way. So keep your eyes peeled for that. He and I are going to be knocking out the Versus series at some point, probably next week. So keep an eye out for that. Hopefully Heroic History 101 is right behind it. That said, before we jump into the news, I love saying this. This show is brought to you by our lovely friends at Sunday's Bloody Mary. Sunday's Bloody Mary mix, they have the award-winning Spicy Caesar mix, which is what I personally have myself. I actually just ordered another jar the other day because I plan on sipping on some Bloody Marys throughout Podathon, and more on that in a minute. They got all of the Bloody Mary accoutrement you could ever need. They have a mild mix. They got some rim salt, have a subscription box, which I'm actually considering. Now that I am a full-blown Sunday's Bloody Mary head. They got a vegan mix, pickled okra, dilly beans. They got shot glasses. They got T-shirts. They got pickled asparagus. I love pickled asparagus in a Bloody Mary. I think it is the most underrated garnish you could have. See the most recent episode of Knights of the Nerd Republic for a very in-depth conversation on who deserves to be called pickled. But if you use code TNAP, TNAP at checkout at Sunday's Bloody Mary, you get 10% off and you help out the show. So yeah, go get yourself some Bloody Mary mix, another Bloody Mary accoutrement. And with that, we're going to jump into our first story, which is the trailer for Lightyear. Spencer just watched it before we started.
Yes, it's true. I'm a fresh set of eyes now.
Yes, use a fresh set of eyes. I was a wet set of eyes watching that trailer for the first time. I have not gotten to actually talk much about like the not space wizard or superhero side of Disney that I'm very invested in. But I loved Toy Story and in particular Buzz Lightyear. And this trailer got me in my feels in the way that it absolutely wanted to. And I was helpless to it. I had no defense. It hit me. It just made me happy. The music is beautiful. You know, Buzz's origin story. It's so cool. Like on paper, this is everything I should hate. You know, like I've made the joke on Twitter and on I think on Movie Club, conveniently logo behind us, about how I hate the way movie titles are anymore, because when you're trying to like operate within an existing franchise, you end up with a new legacy, resurrection, insurrection, the rise of, the last, like, and it's all stuff that like Star Wars is guilty of. Like, but like that is trickled into other franchises, that it'll just be like resurgence, insurgency, a new blank, or it's like the last, or like it's just like a name, like
Maverick.
Logan, or Top Gun Maverick,
Yeah.
or just calling the Wolverine movie Logan. Stuff like Joker. Like it's not the Joker. Like Lightyear feels like, on paper, like if you were to just pitch this to me, on paper, this sounds like all of those things I just described, and like something I would hate. But when it was announced, I was like, it's Buzz Lightyear. I'm going to give this a chance, because it just makes my soul happy. And then I saw the actual trailer and I fell in love. Obviously, there will be conversation about the canonicity now of Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, the most underrated Disney cartoon. Have you ever watched that? Is this something you got to watch? It was kind of like Lightyear is pitched as the in-universe for Toy Story thing that the Buzz's toy is based on.
Yeah.
So like it was this whole like Flash Gordon Star Warsy space opera thing, where like you got to see the inner workings of Star Command, and like Zurg was a recurring villain. He had a whole rogues gallery, right? And like a whole team that like he flew his Star Cruiser with. It was a great cartoon. It was 90% of why I like went so hard on Buzz.
Okay.
And I really hope that this movie is going to be a bait and switch, because it feels very like he's a real astronaut, but there's also like other planets involved. And I hope by trailer 2 we're hearing names like Emperor Zurg get thrown around, and like I want it to be silly and fun and Toy Story. I don't know. But I like where this is going, and it made me very happy. I'm excited for Lightyear.
It was a movie that I was like, I never asked for, but I'll probably watch it. Like, I never needed it, but
yeah,
I might want it.
Very Solo. I never asked for this, but I'm glad I have it.
We'll see. We'll see once we see the actual movie and what tone it chooses to take. Then we can decide if we're actually happy we have it.
Did you catch, or were you aware of who's playing Buzz in this?
I figured it would be Tim Allen.
That's Chris Evans.
What? No Tim?
I think because they're doing like the person Buzz is based on.
Okay, hold on a second. So we in the real world watch Toy Story.
Yeah.
In Toy Story.
This is so weirdly meta.
Hold on. We in the real world watch Toy Story. Within Toy Story, there is the Buzz Lightyear action figure, which is a marketing device for the Buzz Lightyear children's program.
Franchise, yeah.
The Buzz Lightyear children's program on the television is then based on a real Buzz Lightyear individual who has been fictionalized, and
so that's what I'm trying to figure out. Is like I hope we get an answer as to whether or not Lightyear is a depiction of the franchise that Buzz is based on in the universe, or here's my like meta take. Okay, is that like we have Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, and like Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, like the beginning of it was the Toy Story characters always turning on the TV to watch it.
Okay.
So like it was like that was a whole thing. We got to do an episode about Buzz Lightyear Star Command. My meta theory. Praying all of that audio was captured. Now we'll go back and listen. And if not, there's just no show tomorrow. But it should have captured that audio. My theory with Lightyear, this is just my own headcanon, is that Lightyear is the like 20 teens edgy reboot of Buzz Lightyear of Star Command.
Oh man. All right.
It works. It would make sense.
I don't have any skin in this game at all.
I know you don't.
So anything you say, I'm gonna be like,
I know.
Alright.
I know. I'm way more invested in this than anybody should be. Also, listen, if I see one more meme of people going, I don't know, guys, that new Buzz looks like he missed work on January 6th, I'm going to punch you in the face. Buzz Lightyear is not a Q nut. There have been so many memes that are like, Buzz Lightyear was at January 6th. Buzz Lightyear looks like the new Buzz Lightyear looks like he turns off his body cam.
oh my word.
I'm like, yeah, I think it's funny, but stop it. You're hurting my feelings.
Why him? Like of all the people to target with that that
very
nonsense.
specific brand of like, I don't trust this guy. I
Why
don't know.
Buzz?
It's Buzz Lightyear, man.
Why Buzz? Leave him alone.
Buzz is unapologetically good. Moving on to a story that I hate that this is a story. We're seeing Eternals on Thursday.
Yeah.
So, and again on Monday there will be a review. Who all is on that review? I'm not sure, but Eternals had a moment where so currently Eternals is the lowest rated MCU movie on Rotten Tomatoes.
Which is surprising given how much hate the Dark World gets.
Yeah, it finally dipped under the Dark World. And
I like the Dark World.
I think the Dark World is fine. I think, and again, like we've said before on this show, the MCU, it's not like mind-blowing, earth-shattering cinema. But it's high-end action movies. Like, I think it is a high-end, very well plotted out. Not everything was planned from the very beginning, but they're very good at like linking the stories. Like, it is a really good franchise of good action movies that have some really, really, really good movies in there. Your Winter Soldiers, your Infinity Wars, your Doctor Stranges, Black Panther, what have you. I also want to touch on the fact that most people don't understand how Rotten Tomatoes works. So Rotten Tomatoes, that percentage you see is the percent of submitted reviews from like Rotten Tomatoes approved critics. That is the number, that percentage is the number of those reviews that are overall positive. And a lot of people see that percentage and they go, oh, that's a letter grade. Like, we've averaged out all the reviews and it arrives at this number. It's not quite how that works. It's an average. It is the number of movies that on the whole are positive. So you could end up with reviews that generally have a tone of, this didn't work for me. This didn't work for me. You could have changed this, blah, blah, blah. But on the whole, I liked it. That's a positive review. A lot of the negative reviews I've been seeing for Eternals, not counting the ones that have been it's already starting with like the cast is super diverse. There's like an on-screen gay couple. Now we're going to review bomb it. Aside from those that shouldn't count in the first place towards any percentage, because they're in such bad faith. A lot of it has been, this movie's really ambitious. This movie is swinging for the fences. It doesn't quite stick the landing. Pulling up Eternals on Rotten Tomatoes, what I think is really interesting is like the critic consensus. Just reading the critics' consensus does not seem like a bad movie. Waiting for it to load here. But briefly, Eternals was the first MCU movie to hit Rotten. It bounced back up when more reviews were coming through. Also, Grace Randolph, who should not be taken seriously at any point ever, her claim that they were adding reviews and press screeners to try to boost the percent. That's not a thing. You don't just add screeners. Like Disney and Marvel Studios are going to send review copies of Eternals to whomever they want to, or codes so that people can stream it to whomever they want to. There is no such thing as like they're adding press screenings. Grace Randolph is full of shit 90% of the time. The critics' consensus reads, an ambitious superhero epic that soars as often as it strains, Eternals takes the MCU in intriguing and occasionally confounding new directions. When I read that, I go, okay, it's a little bit of a mixed bag, but it's different and it's shooting for the stars. That does not read like a bad review.
No. It reads like, to me, it reads like, okay, all right. There's some issues here that could have used, they deserved some attention to iron out, but all right.
Yeah. And we're also looking at currently, like at time of record, and again, this will fluctuate as more and more reviews come in. We're looking at a 60% right now. Yeah. 81 fresh, 55 rotten. No audience score because the movie is not out yet. And Rotten Tomatoes learned their lesson because you can't let people submit the audience score before the movie comes out, because Captain Marvel happened and people review bombed that, and that was a lovely little shitstorm. So yeah, we'll be seeing Eternals this week. I'm going in with an open mind. You know, I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a very interesting movie. It looks different. It looks new. You know, we also have the issue of the Variety post-credit scene leak, which again, I am still baffled happened. But yeah, moving forward on the topic of the MCU, Bill Murray has allegedly been cast in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and while on Jimmy Kimmel, would not comment on the fact that he basically told a German newspaper or German media outlet that he was in it. So, reading from the Entertainment Weekly article, with Bill Murray on his late show this week, Jimmy Kimmel asked the Ghostbusters star about those Ant-Man rumors going around, and by rumors, Kimmel of course means Murray's own comments about shooting a Marvel movie. This is a quote from Kimmel. You did an interview with a German magazine, and you spoke to the interviewer, and you seemed to indicate you just shot a Marvel movie, and that maybe that Marvel movie was the new Ant-Man movie, and nobody knew that you were in the Ant-Man movie, and now it seems like you were in the Ant-Man movie, Kimmel said. You want a German speaker say the name of that?
The Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung
published a story on Tuesday in which Murray stated, you know, recently I made a Marvel movie. I probably won't tell you, but never mind. In any case, some people were quite surprised why I decided on such a project, but for me, the thing was clear. I got to know the director and really liked him very much. He was funny, humble, and everything you want from a director. And the cheerleader story, Bring It On, he made a movie years ago, which I think is damn good. The director of Bring It On is Peyton Reed, who has recently been shooting Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania in the UK. So all roads lead back to Bill Murray being an Ant-Man. So yeah, Bill Murray's almost certainly going to be an Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I like it.
He's got a much more versatile range than I think most people realize, and then I realized myself. Like, his character in Ghostbusters is still different, even though it's in the realm of comedy. It's different from his role in the Caddyshack, and I realized I rewatched this movie that my mom made us watch when we were kids, and we all hated it, but she thought it was so funny.
Yeah.
And then I just, like, it happened to be on one night, and I started rewatching it, and I find myself going, that's funny. It's like this really dry, really awkward humor. It's called Moonrise Kingdom.
Oh, I've heard of that. I've heard of it.
Well, Bill Murray's character in Moonrise Kingdom has like a very, very dry wit, like sense of humor in that movie. Like it's not your cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. Like he's a retired doctor, and like all of his lines are delivered deadpan, and it's like super dry wit. He's got a very wide range. He's got a very wide range, and I'd love to see him in an MCU movie. Honestly,
I think he's a shoo-in for that kind of part. And I'm not. We're not going to get all the way in on it because like it's very much rumory, and I'm not quite sure on the veracity of it. But I will touch on it here. Allegedly, there are also rumors. Speaking of comedic actors of good range, do you want me to shut off the things that are making the room cold? Are you cold?
No, I'm just.
I thought you were.
I'm nursing. I gave blood earlier today.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
I'm nursing my limp arm. That's all.
Give blood. Give blood. Save a life. There are rumors floating around. Speaking of actors with incredible range, that allegedly Jim Carrey might be playing a live-action MODOK, and I'm into it. I really hope that rumor comes to pass. You're not into it. You don't dig it. You don't like it.
I'm very not into it.
No?
Do you remember how Sonic the Hedgehog went?
Did you actually see Sonic?
I saw trailers, I saw reviews, and I was not at all.
I saw the Sonic movie with Kira.
I'm sorry, Jim. But
it was fine. It was a kid's action movie. He was easily the best part of it.
But it was
it's a 63% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's not bad.
Campy though.
It's
like
it wasn't camp. It felt like a movie from the 20 teens with just like that style of humor. But like, you know, you like, if you look at like all of Jim Carrey's work, like anything from, you know, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, The Number 23, which is my favorite Jim Carrey movie. I love that. I think you would enjoy that. Jim Carrey plays this guy who's like given a book, and then he becomes like obsessed with The Number 23, and he's seeing it everywhere, and he like slowly slips into paranoia. It's my favorite Jim Carrey flick. But like someone who's capable of like a really like dark, haunting performance in like Number 23, all the way up to The Masks and Ace Ventura's. Like I think, and he's good as Robotnik and Sonic. I would be very interested in seeing him play MODOK. I think it's a very interesting fit, and I think depending on how they try to bring MODOK to life, and like how they try to do the face, like if they were to try to mocap Jim Carrey's face and like slap that onto like CGI, tiny arms, tiny legs, giant head in a chair, and like mocap his face onto the giant head in the chair, he's so expressive. I think he's a good pick for MODOK if that rumor goes anywhere.
Okay. I disagree for this reason. Jim Carrey is very facially expressive, but he's still Jim Carrey. I'm not going to look at a mocap MODOK and say, oh, look, there's MODOK. I'm going to say, what the heck is Jim Carrey doing inside that giant egghead?
Have you had that issue with any other big names who made their way into the MCU?
What are you getting at?
Like is that? I just think. I mean, obviously, like we haven't seen Eternals yet, but like.
Oh, you mean like not being able
actors.
to see through the actor for the character? Like, oh, that's not
like
so.
That's not Doctor Strange. That's Sherlock Holmes, or like the fact that we have Angelina Jolie, 2 Game of Thrones alum. You know, like one of my favorite comedians with Kumail Nanjiani.
Well, here's what I'll say.
I mean, I don't want to make it seem like I'm backing you into a corner because, like,
no. You're just curious if this has ever happened before. I want to say no because I don't think that there are any other actors in the MCU that are like Jim Carrey in that. You've seen one, you've seen them all applies to them as like widely as Jim Carrey's.
Yeah,
movies.
I'm just shutting off the AC.
Because I know some people, it's the same with Adam Sandler. Some people love everything that Adam Sandler is in. Some people are like, they're all the same, not a big Adam Sandler guy. It's the same thing with Jim Carrey. I know some people who are like, oh my gosh, he's so good. And then I fall under the camp of like, I have never seen, Jim Carrey as a character. I only see Jim Carrey in a movie as himself, pretending to be another character. And that's just me.
Yeah.
And
I mean, personal preference is fine. Yeah, there's no wrong answer there.
He's one of the great physical comedians of our lifetime. But
God,
that's
making
like
me want to watch
that's about as deep as his depth goes for me. But if it happens, then I won't turn my nose up at it.
I would absolutely,
and I'm always willing to be proven wrong. I would
absolutely recommend some of his more dramatic roles to you. I think you would enjoy number 23. Like that's my favorite by a long shot. It's just it's just one of those thrillers, and like how I'm very much like I like seeing the puzzle get put together type people. Like I think you would like 23.
All right.
We're just gonna keep going with rumors relating to the MCU. Long time coming. We've all been speculating on it since Phase 4 began with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but since we got Falcon and the Winter Soldier and got the introduction of several characters in it, there is a rumor going around that we're going to be getting a Thunderbolts movie. This is from comicbook.com. A new rumor is claiming that Marvel's Thunderbolts movie is finally happening, with the film supposedly starting production in 2023. If that is the case and that actually happens, we're probably looking at a late 2024, probably 2025 release date. That's not a real year. That's not a real thing. This news comes in a larger report about how 2023 will really be the next big push in Disney and Marvel Studios production on the next set of MCU projects, which could also include a Fantastic Four movie, a Shang-Chi sequel, and a Nova film are also in the mix here.
I thought the Nova film was long overdue.
Yeah.
I thought as soon as Guardians 1 was happening, I'm like, okay, so Nova's coming anytime now.
Yeah, we're going to,
Here we are, like, what, 6 or 7 years later?
Yeah. Thunderbolts, or in the case of the Thunderbolts, this rumored production timeline will seem somewhat serendipitous, as current events in the MCU Phase 4 storyline has dropped little breadcrumbs that could indeed be leading to a Thunderbolts movie in 2024 or 2025. So for those of you who are not familiar, the Thunderbolts are basically think Marvel's Suicide Squad, but the villains are less C and D list.
They're the anti-Avengers.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the Dark Avengers, which is also another thing that I think, the MCU has a habit of like hybridizing stories and hybridizing characters even. Regulars on the Thunderbolts. Typically you have Baron Zemo, who obviously was left alive at the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Thunderbolt Ross, whom the team is named for because he's kind of the Amanda Waller of the Thunderbolts. With the fact that it seems like Disney and Marvel have a different grasp on the rights to the Hulk than what we previously thought they did, seeing as we're getting a She-Hulk show, and there's another rumor we'll be talking about here with the World War Hulk movie, perhaps. Perhaps we'll be seeing Thunderbolt Ross turn into the Red Hulk, which I would be into. That's definitely something you got to do in a movie, because I don't know if a TV, now granted, like these TV budgets are ballooning to motion picture budgets, but I don't know how many episodes of a TV show you can do where you have a Hulk. Like She-Hulk, I think is going to be fine, because generally speaking, Jennifer just gets really tall and like cut, and it's not brick shithouse like the Hulk. Bullseye's been on there a few times. Songbird, lots of different characters have made their way through the Thunderbolts. So Yeah, I think this is interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if Yelena Belova from Black Widow makes her way onto the team, since she's already in contact with Val. There's a lot of stuff in there. So, yeah, Spencer, thoughts on a Thunderbolts movie?
Um, take it or leave it. If we didn't get it, I wouldn't be upset. But as long as we're getting good content from Marvel,
Yeah,
and as long as the initial bad review on Rotten Tomatoes percentage, as long as that, what is going on?
I clearly copied and pasted the link for the World War Hulk story incorrectly.
Well, let's see. What was I saying? Oh, as long as the initial reviews for the Eternals don't slow down the Marvel Cinematic Universe momentum, then I'm positive that they're going to continue making good content.
Which, again, I doubt it will. My biggest like moment of hesitancy to buy into the Thunderbolt stuff, as it's because it's something I would very much like to see. My only issue is I don't know what the turnaround time on something like this would be like. It's really hard to look at what's currently going on in the MCU, and like trying to figure out when the multiverse storyline is going to die down, and how much, as we've kind of talked a lot on this show, with like there's two plot lines going on in the MCU right now. There is oh holy Christ, the multiverse is caving in on itself, which we're seeing in WandaVision and Loki and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and Ant-Man and the Wasp. And we have the what do we do in a post-Avengers, post-Blip world? Which has been, you got Black Widow that ties into that, especially with the post-credit scene. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Presumably Hawkeye is going to have a lot to do with that type of storyline. So I'm very curious because it seems like every project coming out is really leaning into the multiversal, holy shit, everything's caving in on itself. That like, what all are we going to do with the what do we do in a post-Avengers world? Because eventually the multiverse caving in on itself is going to involve the post-Avengers world stuff. Especially if Kang the Conqueror is going to be as serious a villain moving forward as it feels like he is. Like obviously we're going to be seeing him in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I wouldn't be surprised if he's playing some type of at least small role in Multiverse of Madness. I'm not going to say that Kang is in Spider-Man. I think that movie's already a little busy. Who knows how Eternals plays into the equation. If it's kind of like the more cosmic version of post-Avengers world. But there's a lot to fit in there, and kind of like the comicbook.com article put it, it's kind of serendipitous that like this rumor breaks while we're already speculating on something like something like a Thunderbolts project happening. Kind of in the same way that like when the Mandalorian season 2 was going on, and every so often you get like the random one-off Star Wars like leak rumor clickbait bullshit from your We Got This Covered or Cosmic Book or whatever. Those would always kind of conveniently break after we learned something in The Mandalorian. And it's like, if you had this information already, like why are you finding out this information that conveniently ties into last week's episode's revelations type thing? And that's kind of what this rumor feels like, is that there is some level of we know that like we have Valentina we have Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Contessa, whatever. In there we have Yelena, who would be a shoo-in for this team. William Hurt, still a part of the MCU as a Black Widow. have him be Red Hulk. Zemo's still kicking. We have a handful of villains that are still alive. We can build a Thunderbolts team. People have been speculating about Thunderbolts or Dark Avengers. Like it said, it seems really serendipitous and kind of coincidental that the thing we've all been speculating about since Falcon and the Winter Soldier is like magically somehow like secretly on the agenda. Now again, we also know how the MCU kind of like world builds its way to spinning something off. So again, it could very well be right, but the timing keeps me a little suspicious, at least for now. That's my long-winded, kind of unnecessarily long way of saying speculate responsibly. Keep your heads on straight. Don't go all in on every rumor. I'm going with the Screen Rant article, even though I don't love Screen Rant. It was the only one I could find here. So, we have rumors that we might be getting a World War Hulk movie. World War Hulk follows. It's weird. So, like, Thor Ragnarok kind of has World War Hulk in it, in a way, because World War Hulk Banner is captured by the Marvel Illuminati, which, I don't know who all was like a part of the Illuminati at the time, but like typically it's Stark, Xavier, Reed Richards, T'Challa, Black Bolt. So the galaxy brained, slightly problematic fellas of the Marvel universe, my favorites. Capture Banner, shoot him off into space to avoid another calamity with the Hulk. He ends up on Sakaar, becomes this great gladiator there, falls in love, has a kid, gets back to Earth, or comes back to Earth as the planet's destroyed. Banner's made to believe that Sakaar was destroyed by the Illuminati to try to kill him and like keep him, away from any type of society. So he comes back for revenge. That's where you get your World Breaker Hulk. Obviously, like Age of Ultron, I think this would be a World War Hulk type story in name and loose adaptation only, which is often the case with the MCU. Again, Age of Ultron did not involve a whole lot of time travel and the Avengers being killed, and that didn't exactly happen in the movie called Age of Ultron, but it's a nice name for an Ultron story. I think we're looking at a similar situation here. I think you could try to bring in Scar, which is like the savage version. I believe it's an offspring of Hulk. But yeah, this would be surprising, as we were kind of discussing earlier. The rights to the Hulk have always been in a weird limbo, where basically, if they were to do it, it would have to be an even more tenuous relationship than Disney and Sony have to share Spider-Man, between Universal and Disney, which is why we haven't seen a solo Hulk movie. And the way the rights have worked for the longest time have said that Disney Marvel can put the Hulk in whatever they want, but Universal gets the rights to Hulk movies, and they like one has to like sign off on what the other one is going to do if like the actual movie happens. So like I don't think Universal could willy-nilly just make a movie about the Hulk. They have to kind of share it. So either something has changed with the rights to the Hulk, or there is a very weird deal that has been struck here. And I guess either She-Hulk doesn't apply to that rule and that agreement, or like I said, something has changed. But yeah, again, World War Hulk is one that I'm not holding my breath for. Bringing up the back end of today's show, we have a writer for the HBO Max movie adaptation of the Val Zod Superman story being produced by Michael B. Jordan. This is an exclusive from Mike Fleming Jr. of Deadline. Darnell Mateer and Josh Peters are set to write Val Zod, the HBO Max adaptation that Michael B. Jordan's Outlier Society is producing for DC Entertainment and Warner Brothers Television. For those of you not in the know, I'm just going to reading it straight out of here. Val Zod is the story of another Kryptonian with powers who hails from the same doomed planet as Superman. The hero is black and he finds refuge on Earth 2, like the original Man of Steel. He's sheltered on his adopted planet, but eventually in the comics is pitted against a brainwashed Superman. Mateer and Peters are prolific television writers who broke onto the scene with their original pilot, American Snow. Their project, The Nola, sold to Amazon with Sam Raimi directing. Their 1-hour pilot, Hannibal, based on the life of the Carthaginian General Hannibal. They scripted for Scott Free and Endeavor Content. Apple preemptively bought it with Creed 2, Helmer, Stephen J. Capel Jr. Attached to direct that. They recently worked on Transformers Rise of the Beast for Paramount Pictures, set to release on June 24, 2022. And we got an unexpected take on the iconic Earth 2 character's origins. So, yeah, we got some seasoned writers here working on a very high-profile Superman story. I'm super excited for a Val Zod story. I like... the multiverse is in right now. Different versions of different characters is in right now. And I think if DC and WB really want to set themselves apart from Marvel while still striking while the iron is hot, I think doing a story about Val Zod is exactly the way to go. And I'm very excited for this. So yeah, we've been keeping our eyes on this. This is okay. So Empire Magazine, as we discussed last week, is supposed to have their December issue is going to have a lot to do with Spider-Man No Way Home. Unfortunately, some of the stuff from the No Way Home December issue has leaked online. And if you don't want to hear any of this, thank you for watching. Give me $1. Thank you, patrons, whatever. If you are sticking around, the article does officially confirm Thomas Hayden Church and coming back as Sandman, and I think it's like Ifan Reyes. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. Or Reese Ifans. I had it backwards. Reese Ifans coming back as the Lizard. So we got doing a little head count. Doc Ock confirmed. Electro confirmed. Green Goblin, Lizard, Sandman. That's 5. We still need our 6th member.
Not to mention Uncle Leo. Remember from the roll call with all the Seinfeld characters, and somebody reminded us after the fact that there was a 7th one on
there were a couple who were Seinfeld characters we missed with that cast call thing. That leaves room for Daredevil, which I still don't think Daredevil's in the movie. I'm not getting my hopes up for Matt Murdock at all. I will be pleasantly surprised, and I will happily eat that crow if I'm wrong and Daredevil is in the movie, but I don't think that he is. But at least that leaves a 6th spot open. I don't know with how leaky No Way Home has been, and there are like straight up plot leaks out there. So be careful if you're trying to avoid the hard stuff, because it's out there. So be careful. But just in terms of like figuring out what our Sinister Six roster looks like with how leaky things have been, if Jake Gyllenhaal was coming back to reprise his role as Mysterio, I feel like we might have heard about that by now.
Probably. With how leaky this, yeah.
I think Michael Keaton being back as Tomb/Vulture is more likely.
Agreed. Because he already had his tease in the Homecoming end credit scene that he's going to be back.
And you can very easily, even though it seems like, you have the moment where Vulture kind of like sticks his neck out for Peter in prison to Scorpion He's on Scorpion. Matt Gargan, because he's technically not Scorpion yet. But you could very easily have a situation where like he is coerced into taking up the Vulture mantle again. Like you can very easily have a like Doc Ock or the Green Goblin are like, okay, who's fought this Spider-Man? Who knows what they're doing with this guy? And the only other high-profile villain, like the only high-profile like adversaries Tom's Spider-Man has had have been Vulture and Mysterio. So the fact that like they would go, okay, well, the other one's dead, so let's get somebody who knows how to deal with this one in here. And I think it would be very easy to be like, oh, hey, you have a family. We are like with the exception of like the Lizard and Sandman, we're all like very okay with murder. You know, Doc Ock is like very freely endangering civilians in Spider-Man 2. The Green Goblin has a considerable body count in Spider-Man 1. And Electro is completely deranged and like, you know, broken with reality by the time he has his powers in TASM 2. I mean, also with Sandman and the Lizard, like it seems like these are different, like slightly different versions of these characters. So who's to say that like Lizard and Sandman also wouldn't be like, yeah, I'll kill your kid. What's up? Like, you help us kill your Spider-Man, or we kill all of you. And even with your bird suit, I don't think you can take all 5 of us. So, you know, like there's absolutely a way that they coerce Adrian back into the game. I'm going to screen share some of this here because these are like the leak, again, like stills that were going to be in the article but leaked out early. There are high-res versions of them out there. I wasn't able to have them all collected in one spot. But this image here of Doc Ock on the interwebs has kind of started a little bit of a brouhaha, and it's kind of hard to see here. It's easier to see in like the high res version of it. That it seems like in this shot, his arms are red and gold. Now, I am very much on the theory train. Also we see there was another still released today of like Peter hanging off of the hood of a car off the bridge in the Iron Spider. So it looks like this is still with like the Hello Peter fight that's happening in the trailer. We also have this still of Otto seemingly about to crush Peter's skull. And then we have a shot here of John Watts getting attacked with like the practical version of the tentacles goofing around on set. I think the kind of joke theory I had all the like a while ago that Otto is going to beat the shit out of Peter in their first encounter, and that Peter is going to get absolutely folded in this fight. And I think it might happen to the degree where he's able to rattle the Iron Spider armor enough that it like shuts off the AI, and that he's able to just hit Peter and like all the nanotech bullshit make its way onto the tentacles, and now he has like extra beefy Stark Tech tentacles on top of his already kind of souped up gear. I think that would be interesting, and you can do some fun stuff with that. But yeah, we got some interesting stuff here. Again, confirmation of Sandman and the Lizard finally. We got a little bit more of the fight between Peter and Otto. There's some more in-depth stuff floating around out there. I don't quite want to get in the weeds with it. I'm pulling up the one article here just to see if there's anything I can skim and discuss here that doesn't feel too bad. Yeah, there's a lot in here. You know, talking about deaths, talking about I think scenes and conversations people very badly want to see happen. So it's out there if you want to look for it. I've seen a little bit of it. There's some promising stuff in there, and if it ends up coming to pass, I think it'll be great moments for this movie, for this iteration of Spider-Man. But be alert. if you don't like spoilers, be alert because they're out there in droves. So there's also, you haven't seen Venom yet, the new Venom, have you? Okay, well, spoiler.
Okay.
With the post-credit scene in Venom, there's also the chance that Venom is the sixth member of the Sinister Six. There was also the photos of Tom Hardy from a couple weeks ago that like he deleted from his Instagram where he's wearing a Spider-Man No Way Home like set hat. And now that Tom Hardy's Venom is in the MCU, that's also an option. I don't think that's going to be the case though. But yeah, that's all we got for you guys this week. Spencer, where can our lovely people find you?
You can find me at home making meatballs.
Yes, I was doing that early so that he could leave because he
Yeah.
has to get a move on.
Yeah.
I can close out the show though.
No problem. You can find me on Instagram at SpenceMan Cosplay and on Twitter at SpenceMan42. Jarod,
I thought it was 49.
what did I say?
42.
Oh, yeah. That's nonsense. It's SpenceMan49. Yeah.
To say that number didn't sound right.
Yeah.
And maybe he'll be on Nights this week to talk
Oh.
about Boba Fett. Who knows?
I was already anticipating your 2552, and I said
Oh.
42. Jarod,
That checks out.
where?
You thank you for keeping that consistent for the people at home.
I have to.
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552, and you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com, where, if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon page.
Give me $1.
Speaking of our patrons, thank you to our $10 alumnus, Feige's Boomer Burner, Delta 9, Zach Knaus, the Waffle Wizard, Michael Armburst, and Paco may have changed his name. I'm not sure, but I'm going to say Alex Jones's gayest frog one last time. Be sure to check out our wonderful sponsor, Sunday's Bloody Mary. Again, at checkout, use code TNAP. You get 10% off, and you help out your favorite nerds over here. Versus Series will be back soon. Same with Heroic History 101. Be sure to check out the TeePublic and get some merch. Also, Podathon this Saturday, starting at 9 a.m. Either on Bombadcast or Around the Galaxy's YouTube channel. I'm not quite sure which. I'm going to say Around the Galaxy. There's a meeting tonight in a couple hours where I'll actually have answers to those questions. I'm going to be running production. I'm going to be helping keep everything on the rails. For some reason, they picked me for that job. But go check that out. Donate to Podathon. All proceeds and money made is going to Make-A-Wish. So there's not many better causes to help out, give back to the community. Lots of great Star Wars content is going to be on display. And I don't know, I might make a cameo here and there. Who knows? But be sure to go check out Podathon and Sunday's Bloody Mary and all of our stuff. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, do all the things. Thank you so very much for watching or listening or wherever you tune in. And class dismissed.
Stop. Move away from the cookie jar.